What is up, Pyromaniacs? Pyrostasis here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Life is Feudal. This is a brand new game that is out on early access for Steam. It is still pretty early in development. It's kind of, I guess I would say early Rust level, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So, if you're looking for a completely finished game with no bugs and all that stuff, as always, you want to stay as far away from early access as possible. If, however, you're kind of like me, you don't mind a few bugs here and there, it's definitely worth taking a look at. It is a very interesting sandbox game. It reminds me a lot of basically what Ultima Online would have been if it was... if it had a full 3D world as opposed to a top-down isometric view. And you just had a lot more options that you could do with it. Now, Life is Feudal eventually is going to be a massively multiplayer online role-playing game where apparently there's going to be thousands of people playing. This is basically the well, it's not really single player version. It is the smaller scale version of this. You can think of it like Minecraft, where you can have different worlds and such along those lines, but they're also multiplayer. This game is pretty much extensively multiplayer. There is absolutely no single player really, because every single time you start the game up, you're hosting a server. So keep that in mind. The price point is $40. That's a little steep for an early access game, but it is what it is. So far, from what I've seen at the game, I'm really liking the initial impressions of it. I don't have a whole lot of time with it. I've just done some loose looks at it, just enough to where I can get in and I don't look like a complete moron while I'm walking around. And this will give you guys a little bit of a feel for it. So this is what you're going to look at when you come in. Down here in the bottom right, this is where you can go and find out about the massively multiplayer version of the game if you so choose. You have the option to create a world, join a world, options, credits, and exit. Create a world is just where you're going to basically be creating a server. Now, technically, it is your world, and it's hosted on your machine, but it is still a server. So you want to be very careful how you set these up, because other people can come and mess around with you otherwise. Joining a world is basically just going to pull up the server browser. This is the Steam server, I believe, server browser. So basically, all these are basically Steam servers. You can see... Well, I mean, they're not Steam servers, they're people servers, but I believe this is the Steam browser type setup. It's just the way the servers work. Ignore what I just said. But you can see how many people are playing, what the size of, or what the ping is. Currently, it seems like the games are restricted to 64 players. From what I understand, the server client is 32-bit. Which means they are restricted to about 4 gigs of RAM, which is rather unfortunate. As far as I know, also there is only a Windows server client at the moment, so if you're a Linux guy like myself for servers, is no bueno yet. But I'm sure, I mean, like I said, it's early alpha. I'm sure a lot of these issues and things will be changed as time goes on. For our Let's Play, we are going to be playing around out here in our own little world. I do have a password set up for this. I'm also going to be checking private. We are going to leave it on 64 players. I may have some other people come and join us throughout this series. Maybe not. We may open the server up to the public. Maybe not, and we may even restart and host a public server for you guys if there's some interest. We may make it a Patreon goal, so for those of you guys who support on Patreon, you may have access to this server if I decide to create one. It just kind of depends. I need to take a look at the game a little bit more and see. Now right here you can see the skill cap is 3,000. By default, the skill cap is right here at 600. Now what 600 basically means is, if you're familiar with Ultima Online, I think Ultima Online's skill cap was 700 though, if I remember. Basically, there are a bunch of skills in game. And each of those skills affects, different things. So you're going to have like farming, sword fighting, blocking, heavy armor, light armor, things along those lines. Now, of course, I'm pulling those skills completely out of my ass, so they may or may not be in the game, but it's a skill-based game. Your skill cap is how many skills or how many points you can have in your skills before you cap out and you start having to give something up. So for instance, let's say I have, and I'm pulling up my hand here, you guys can't see it, but let's say we have 6 skills, and all of a sudden we decide we want a 7th skill. And all of them are at 600, or all of them are 100. Well, that's 600 points divided between all my skills. So if I want to pick up a 7th skill, I have to reduce points in one of my 6 to get that one. On one hand, that's kind of frustrating because it means you can't be everything. On the other hand, it does require people to work together. It forces classes, so you don't end up with somebody who is the best melee DPS person and the best tank and the best healer and the best spellcaster all in one character. It kind of makes things a little bit more balanced PvP wise. However, for this Let's Play, since there's a strong possibility I may be playing by myself, I'm going to be turning this all the way to 3,000. That way we aren't limited by any skills. That means we can basically do it all ourselves, I believe. Now, 3,000 may not be enough to do everything. Pretty sure it is, but we'll see. Here we've got terraforming speed multiplier. I'm honestly not sure how this works. The only thing I can think of is it's the speed with which you can modify the terrain. Crafting period, it's how long it takes to craft certain things. We're not going to really bother with that. Animal breeding feeding period. That's about an hour. That's or 60 seconds. I'm not sure which. Plant growth is at 3.0. Again, not going to touch that. That's in hours. This is in minutes. This is in seconds. Okay, there we go. I see the little delineator now. And then wild animals. Warning, large amount of animals may result in server lags. Well, 60 wild animals is a lot. I don't believe this is the default for it either. I'm going to put this at 80. Now, the reason I'm putting this so high is I have a pretty monstrous machine. Unfortunately, it is 32-bit, so my 32 gigs of RAM on this rig are probably not going to do me much good. But it is an i7. It is, you know, pretty good. I'm not going to worry about it too much. So this is what we're going to go with on our world. Now, again, this is our first impressions video. Like I said, I may end up playing with some other YouTubers or some friends once this gets started. So we may either make a public world or we host it on a dedicated server somewhere. We may remake this world or whatever. This is basically just going to be us. All right, folks, sorry about that. I'm not sure where it cut off. I'll have to go back and edit it here in a minute. But when you do click create world, it does open up a completely different browser window, or not browser window. It looks like a command box. It's very similar to like a Minecraft server, and it runs that. Unfortunately, that caused DX Story to lose its hook. So it's loading our world right now. Here we go. We've got some people here. I'm hoping that deleting these characters... Actually, you know what? We're just going to create a new character because it'll just be a little bit easier. All right, so this is character creation. Oh, really? All right, so we'll just do pyrostasis. That'll work. Gender is coming soon. Race, we can play around with the different races. I can't really tell any difference between them just right here because he's in obviously full armor. So we're just going to go with Arunian. Let's see, blah, 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 standing militia long. I'm not sure if there's any difference in the skills. Crafting skills. Okay, so this guy's got prospecting, forestry, nature's lore, terraforming, and farming. So that's kind of cool. I don't really care about combat skills, at least not at the moment. And combat skills can be raised pretty easy. I care more about crafting skills and I'm not quite sure. Okay, now I see it. I care more about crafting skills. So, and these are our attributes, of course. Random. We want more strength if we can get it. Can I just like tweak this? I sure can. So we give ourselves like a ridiculous amount of strength, but everything else is going to be kind of twisted. I kind of want a strength focus. That ought to work. All right. And then let's look at our crafting skills. Nature's lore, we kind of need to have high. Farming, we can probably learn. I don't really care so much about terraforming, at least initially. So what we may do is just drop terraforming to the minimum. And we do want nature's lore. I'm going to put this at 20. We're going to put forestry at 40. How many points do we have left? It doesn't really say. So prospecting, okay, there we go. We're going to put prospecting at 30. You at 40. Nature's lore at 20. And then farming, we'll just, okay, so that's about where we need to be right there. Farming at 16 is going to be a little rough, but forestry and nature's lore being this high should allow me to get started earlier. Farming, I don't know anything about, so that's going to take a little bit. And I believe that's pretty much everything. So let's go ahead and start our little barbarian dude. There's pyrostasis. Play. And I hope the sounds aren't too loud. Is it just getting louder, or is it just me? It sounded like it was getting louder there for a second. Alright. We are in. Oh, holy shit. I was like fell out of the sky. Okay. I'm going to make a small adjustment to... Whoops. Okay, that's down. I'm going to turn this... Oh, Jesus. I'm going to turn that down just a bit. Mainly because I'm not sure how loud it is in game for you guys. This may turn out to be a little too quiet. If it is, I do apologize. You can see we start off with some cookies. And I guess this is a really shitty little outfit. So we're going to right-click on that and put that on. And if you guys want to see what we look like, here's our little naked dude. You can see we basically are wearing a burlap sack here. Jesus. Whoa! Oh, okay. That's the sound beneath my feet. So we're gonna go ahead and adjust that a little bit more. I was like, man, I thought this was a medieval game. Somebody's shooting at me. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. All right. Oh my god, that scared the crap out of me. It's like, what is there? Why is there a gun in my game? All right, so most of the stuff is done basically in this game by right-clicking. So, for instance, here we are. We're looking around, and if you're familiar with Minecraft, you're familiar with blocks and squares and such. Well, if we right-click here, you can see that we have selected this little square right here. Now, these are all of the different things that we can do with this chunk. So we can prospect for copper, we can create a campfire, we can gather plant fiber or search for something edible, we can lower the ground, we can observe, or we can raise the ground, we can try and gather plants or plow, we can set a snare for animals, etc., or we can track animals. All of these are based on different skills. Now, I'm not sure... Okay, these are our crafting skills, and you can get this pulled up by pressing L. You can see that they're kind of all in a line, and from what I understand, you have to unlock them like in a row. So like these are all basically one set of skills, so to speak. So you've got your prospecting, which will lead into mining, which will lead into smelting, which will lead into foraging, armor smithing. You've got forestry, logging, carpentry, bowcraft, warfare engineering. You have nature's lore, gathering, herbalism, etc., etc. Now, you're going to notice some of these are locked. So, for instance, right here, this one's at 29. So at 29, we don't have access to this yet. There's no way for us to get into it. With this one right here, you can see that we do have access to logging. And the reason is you have to get certain skills, certain skill points in these to get access to those. Now, I'm a little worried down here because it does say 118 of 604. I'm really hoping that our 3,000 skill point cap actually goes into effect, because otherwise we're gonna have to have multiple characters in our little Let's Play. I'm gonna have Pyro 1, Pyro 2, Pyro 3, and things are gonna get a little interesting. Now, it also looks like here at different levels, you're gonna get an additional bonus. Now, these are just your crafting skills, and you pull that up by pressing the letter L as in Leroy. Let's see, where are the other skill? Okay, skills is L. Stats is P, map. So maybe that is it for now. Farming, terraforming, nature's lore, fishing and hunting, jewelry, arts, piety. I'm assuming that might be healing, maybe? Mentoring? Oh, that's cool. So you can help out your little buddies and such. So I'm not seeing any combat skills. So I don't know if there are no combat skills in the game yet, or if there's another window that I'm missing. If there is, I do apologize. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of time with this game, so odds are there's going to be a few things that I'm going to be missing. And if you guys are aware of these things, feel free to point them out to me, and I will try and either issue a correction later on or cover it at a later point. All right, so one of the first things we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get something to eat. Now you're going to notice up here it says search for something edible is the default. That's awesome. That means all I have to do is just click on this and it will automatically do that every time. Now, let's say I want to set something else as the automatic, ability or whatever. Well, what you do is you just right click again, you go into Nature's Lore, and then you can set gather plant fibers, and I'm not quite sure. Press right mouse button. Okay, that's right. So press left mouse button to perform ability. Press right mouse button to mark as a default. So you can see right there when we right click, it becomes the default. So now I just press this, and instead of doing the other thing, we're now doing this one. So the basic setup that we want to do right now is get some starter tools going. So you can see we've still got our cookies, but we didn't get anything here. Now, if we pull up our system log right here, you can see you have failed to find anything. You have failed to find anything. That means our guy kind of sucks at what he's doing. We're going to move a little further up into the forest or the clearing or whatever. And we're going to see if we can't find anything up here. So we're going to go back to gathering plant fibers, and we're going to try right around here. Now, plant fibers, you can think of those kind of as rope or whatnot. I mean, or vines, et cetera, et cetera. They're what you're going to be using to tie things together, at least initially. So like for right now, we're wanting to make a tool. So basically what we want is we want a stick, we want a instrument of some kind, and then we want a way to tie the stick and the instrument together. So you can see right there we've got 2 wild plant fibers. You can also see down here that our Nature's Lore has gone up from 0.15 to 0.17. Well, actually we're up to 19.32, which is a little interesting because it's has increased by 0.15 from whatever it was to 19.15. We've increased by 0.17 to 19.32. So you can see roughly how fast the skills go up. These are obviously your attributes, and your attributes are going to affect your different skill types as well. Unfortunately, I don't know how they affect them yet. We'll probably figure that out as time goes on. All right, so we have some plant fibers. Let's come over to this tree, and there's a bunch of different spots that we can do here. Now, get a sprout. I'm assuming get a sprout is basically get a, what do you call it? Get something that you can plant so that you can grow another tree. Think of it as a sapling from Minecraft. We don't want that. We don't want that right now. We don't want to inspect it. We do want to snap a branch. And what snapping a branch is you basically climb up in the tree and you rip a branch out of it, basically. That's going to be our, think of it as a stick from Minecraft. That's going to be your little tool. And I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 of these real quick. If I'd been smart, I probably would have set that as the default. You can also look around while doing this thing, so you're not focused or forced to just stare at the tree. You can do other things, which is kind of nice. All right, so we now have 2 branches. Now we need some flint. That's going to be like our instrument aspect of things. So this should do it, I'm hoping. Search for a useful flintstone. And if we get lucky, we can find one here. Now, while I'm doing this, let's look at some of the stuff in the in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, you have what you call hard hit points and soft hit points, I believe is the terminology that the devs use. Your hard hit points is your actual life. That's how many actual that's your when you think of hit points in most other games, that's what hard hit points are. Soft hit points are your consciousness. So for instance, if I beat you in the face with a brick and you lose all your soft hit points, you're going to pass out and you guys are just going to collapse on the ground and just stand there, and then I can, do whatever I want to with your body until you regain consciousness, which you eventually will. However, if I decide to just continuously bludgeon you to death, then you're going to lose your hard hit points and then you'll eventually die. So that's kind of the setup there. All right, so we've got our plant fibers here, we've got our flint here, and then we've got our sticks. So if you right click on the sticks, you can see we can create a primitive tool. And then we have the options here on the different types of primitive tools we wish to make. So we've got a torch, we've got a fishing pole, we've got a sling, cups, a crucible, knife, cooking pot, saw, pickaxe, axe, hammer, shovel, sickle. Well, we want an axe right off. So you can see, okay, we need to put our stick here. We need to put our little thing here. We need to put this here. Now, right now there's only a craft button. I saw on the website in the tutorials that there was like a mini game that went along with this. I don't know if that's something they phased out. I don't know if that's something that they're going to be adding later. I'm not really sure. The mini game kind of made it look a little interesting. There were basically 3 ways you could play, or you could do the crafting. You could do it like I just did right here, where you just, you know, dig or you just wait for the bar to do its thing. And then the other option is you can go and do the mini game, which increases the speed just a little bit. Now, not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And if you do it well, then you do it a little bit better. If you suck at it, it's still faster than waiting on this little timer here. Then there was also the option apparently to like give a code to your buddy, and then your buddy could log onto your through the website. He could use that code and basically do the mini games for you and like load them up. And then when you log on, you can use his scores in the mini games, even though he doesn't play, or maybe not play your character. And you could get the setup there. So like the goal would be to like get your girlfriend hooked on like the mini game for trees or gathering or something along those lines. And then you can have her do it for you while you're, you know, I don't know, making yourself a sandwich because she won't. And then when you get on, you could use that pool. Like I said, though, I don't see it here yet. It's possible that we're just not advanced yet, and we're not seeing some of those advanced mechanics quite yet. Not sure. Not sure. All right, so let's go ahead and go to forestry. Let's go to snap a branch. I should have set that as default. I keep forgetting to set that as default because I don't think we're going to really be planting trees anytime soon. Well, we will once we start chopping them down. Let's go ahead and set it as default. Snapper branch is now default. There we go. And I have a feeling later on, when we get more skills and more abilities, it's going to be really critical for us to be able to set some of those as default so that we don't have to worry about constantly dicking around with those things. All right, we're going to head back over here. We're going to do a few more flints real fast. Prospecting, useful flint. There we go. And the reason I'm getting some of these is some of the different recipes may require different things. Now, if you've played some other games, for instance, like The Forest, you will kind of know where we're going to be going next with this. We're going to be going and we're going to be chopping some trees down, but unlike Minecraft where you chop the tree and then it falls into little chunks for you that you can then, just carry back to base, in this, it's a little different. Now, before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other tools. Specifically, I think we're going to want a saw. And it looks like we can use a saw just normally. So that's, come on, there we go. That's good news. That's good news indeed. You can see 1 of 3. So this is going to need 3. Oh, wow. 1 of 3. Yeah, so this is going to need, wait, why does this say 3 of 7? So do we need more than that? Because you can see we have 4, so we have more than we need for this, but we don't have enough of these. But we do have enough of these, but these are apparently 2 different types of sticks, which I'm a little interested in. Yeah, so there's 2 different types of sticks. Okay, so we're going to need, this is what we need to make this. So we need 1 more stick. Not quite sure why we have 2 different types of sticks. I guess they're 2 different types of trees? That's the only thing I can think of is since we pulled from 2 different types of trees. We're also going to need 4 more stone. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. And let's go ahead and go over back to the tree and start doing our stuff. Now, a few of you guys may be wondering how you switch different modes. Because like right here we're looking, and then right here we're using the mouse. That's just tab. Just hit the tab key. It's going to get you all sorts of sorted, and you'll be good. All right, so you can see we are, again, getting the normal branches. So I'm not sure why the branches are swapping back and forth. Maybe it's a quality thing? It is a quality thing. So these are quality 42. This is a quality 40. So the higher the quality, maybe the better the tool or whatever it is that you create with it. That would be kind of a cool feature. I know Ultima Online kind of had a similar ability there where you could make something and it was either normal or exceptional or superior or something along those lines. And I'm wondering if, as we progress further and further, if maybe we will get to a point where we are pulling in more than just one. Because right now you can see we're pulling one flint stone every time we do this. Well, since we need 7 and we had 3, that means we have to do 4 individual clicks. Whereas maybe if our skill gets a little bit higher, we'll only need 1 click. That's my thought process. We'll see. So you can see now that we've popped 30, we now have access to mining, which is not something that we had before. So this is going to allow us to actually do some mining. So you can see down here for Nature's Lore, if we want to unlock Gathering, we're going to have to get that to 30. Right now for Terraforming, if we want to get construction materials, we're going to have to get that to 30, etc., etc. So that seems to be how that's going to work. All right, let's try this again with the creating the primitive tool, and let's try the saw again. So let's drag you over, drop. You can see we now have 4 of 3. We now have 7, and we now have plenty there. So let's go ahead and click craft. Hopefully it will take all of the required materials that it needs out of the base. And I'm assuming I have to drag the stuff over there. It does seem to know what I have in my inventory, so I may not have to. I'm assuming I do, because I don't think the button lit up until we did. All right, so here's our saw. Here's our primitive saw. It's quality 22. Let's see, what's our other one? Quality 30. So apparently we were better at making axes than we were at making saws. Go figure. All right, so we're going to go ahead and equip our axe. And I'm curious if I can equip both our axe and our saw at the same time. We do have 2 hands. It does look like we can. Splendid. Splendid. All right, so now that we've done that, I think our next goal, hopefully, and I'm a little worried because it looks like, I can't tell if the sun's setting or going up. Now, we've already molested this tree pretty heavily, so we're going to go ahead and go with logging. I'm sorry, forestry. Oh, it won't let me chop this tree down? Get a bark. No, we don't want to do that. Oh, no. I may have to actually raise my skill enough to chop the damn thing down. Forestry, inspect, snap. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's going to let me just chop it down. Okay, what is this down here? What does this... I have no idea what sort of sorcery I'm doing. I'm not able to cancel it, so... It's a little loud, too. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. Apparently I'm worshiping the tree. Oh, God, no! Oh! Oh, Jesus. Alright, so apparently that's like a recall. That's a head back to base type deal. Alright, is there a way to pull up my character doll? Maybe P? There we go. Pyrostasis. You can see all of our different stats here. So if we open up, let's open up our skills again. So let's see, where is our tree chopping ability? Is that right here? Forestry? Logging. So we do have the ability, oh, here's the other skills. Remember I was telling you guys the combat skills? There we go. And then minor skills. Oh my God, so there's climbing, general actions, horseback riding, swimming, and authority. I wonder if that makes you talk really loud. So we have warhorse handling, militia service, blades mastery, two-handed blades mastery. Well, hell yes. Throwing weapons. You had me at throwing weapons. I'm good. And then unit and formation. This is weird. This is weird. Now, there's a lot of debate that seems to go on when it comes to units and formations and such. I really like the idea of units and formations and stuff, but in a multiplayer game, as someone who tries to get people to do what I want them to do on a regular basis, I don't see this working outside of like maybe you and your 3 buddies, and even then, you know, as soon as any of them have any beer, it's kind of out the door. We are going to go ahead and give another shot. I've set, I don't know. I want to see if there's a way for us to do a tree chopping real quick before we call it a day here. I'm thinking what may have happened is I may have accidentally over-equipped my axe. Snap a branch. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can. Yeah, I've got to figure out how to get my character to give me my axe back. So let's see. Equipment is T. There we go. T. All right, so Is there a way to make this like the primary equipped? All right. So we're going to go and re-equip our axe. Oh, maybe we just unequipped it. Yeah, we just unequipped it. General actions, drop and equip. So let's go ahead and equip it again. And I'm thinking we may just not have enough skill. We may have to raise this skill just a little bit. In my tests that I did before I did this, I was able to chop a tree down just by walking up to one and do logging. So apparently our logging skill is not high enough to do this. So you can see we're at 0.28. We're probably going to have to shave some bark off this thing repeatedly until we get to a point that we can actually get a log. So I'm not going to force you guys to watch me hump this tree for a couple hours. Once I get our logging skill up enough to chop this thing down, we will start, you know, deforestation this area, getting rid of the forest, causing some problems and a little bit of a nightmare for the tree huggers. And then once we get some logs chopped, hopefully we'll be able to build a few things. So anyways, this is kind of just the first impressions video. It's kind of a getting started, me just showing you guys some of the basics. And we'll be continuing on with this series. So if you want to see how some of the later skills work out, the construction, the house building, etc., you're definitely going to want to hang around, watch the next episode, and see what we've got there. So anyways, if you like this video, slap that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next clip.